6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board, and to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation. And we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. In January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact,
members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
There you go. President Trump gave a historic address on the House floor, longest speech ever for a State of the Union or an address to a joint session of Congress. I'm live from our nation's capital, and it is, I believe, and we need a second source, it is Ash Wednesday. I'd like to take this time to say hello to my three anchors back in New York.
Thank you very much, Brian. If today's Ash Wednesday, that means yesterday was Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, and a big celebration in that big round white building behind you, Brian. Yesterday we were talking, how long do you think the speech is going to be? I said probably knowing Trump and the applause he's going to get, I said 100 minutes. I was off by one. It was 99 minutes. But here's the thing. It never lagged. And once again, Donald Trump has cemented his legacy, not only as the 45th and 47th president, but as a president who understands the television medium better than anybody who has ever held that post before. People were laughing, people were crying, there were highs and lows, and it was all about taking a victory lap so far and look ahead at a new golden age.
It was a missed opportunity yesterday. The president started the speech out saying, essentially, there's nothing I can do to please the Democrats. They won't unify. They won't do anything. And then he proceeds to tell these incredible stories, just things that aren't partisan at all, aren't political at all, just wins for the country, average day people, and they did not stand up. You look at the polling that came after this. CBS did a poll with YouGov. 76% agreed with removing the congressman. 76% approved of the speech. And if you go down the list of all the issues when it comes to wasteful spending, immigration, Ukraine and Russia war, over 70% of the country agree with what the president said during his speech.
Yeah, it was a great speech. And the president reminded the crowd that he's only been in office for 43 days. And he says we're just getting started. A lot of people in the chamber, the Republicans chanting USA, USA, USA. When the Democrats started to heckle, their voices actually overpowered the Democratic voices. But he reminded everyone that the election was a mandate. He said we won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by big numbers. He said 270 to 525 to map out. That reads Republican. And the Democrats were yelling, and the Republicans were saying USA, USA.
Yeah, it was the mandate part.
I was in the chamber, and I tell you, it was the story was really two countries. I mean, you
Yeah.
could not have been more juvenile as a Democrat. All you could see from up top is the Democrats, 2 rows, basically mostly female, writing down different things on erasable boards or deciding what circle sign to hold up. And then this other one congresswoman, while he was walking in, was holding a sign that said, "This is not normal."
Right.
Then a Texas congressman grabbed it out of her hand. And then to see this guy, Al Green, who, by the way, Sean Duffy, walked down the aisle, was Secretary of Transportation, just talking to everyone. I don't know what he was talking. I can't wait to ask him what I was talking to Al Green about. They must have talked for 10 minutes. So all of a sudden, he just stands up and yells. And the
starts
weird
waving
thing
his
was
cane.
the sergeant of arms goes to Nancy Pelosi first. Why are you checking with Nancy Pelosi? He's standing up, screaming at the President of the United States. Why are you there? Then he walks up, talks to him. He stops talking for a second, doesn't sit, and cuts yelling again. And it takes the speaker to get somebody else to come in and toss him out. And then they talk to Nancy Pelosi again. Did she approve of this behavior? Do you need her to sign off on this? I don't know. Was she asking, how's your new hip? So to me, if you're going to sit there and text and hold up signs, I almost rather you do what AOC did and just stay
Just
home.
don't come.
Live stream.
Some of them were on their phones. They were holding up those paddles that said false.
embarrassing.
Someone had a whiteboard and they kept erasing and writing new messages on there in disagreement with Donald Trump.
Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, ultimately, the Democrats, and there you can see the little round signs Brian was just talking about, the Democrats just look small because the message of Trump was big, and it was for all Americans. And a couple of times he talked a little bit about how we need to unite and get stuff done. But the Democrats did sit on their hands, even when they had emotional and very special guests like these.
Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter. Across Galveston Bay from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge. Moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. The very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley. Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not so lucky. Corey Comparator was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their 2 beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative, and Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. DJ Daniel, he is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
How wonderful is all of that?
So
You would
beautiful.
think the Democrats would clap for that, would stand up, at least be bipartisan on those issues.
Yeah, Brian, when my wife and I watched DJ Daniels hug the new director of the Secret Service, we both had tears coming down our faces, out of our eyes. It had to be like that, at least in half of the chamber that you were in last night.
Yeah, people went crazy, and I looked right over to the left and thought, okay, this is going to be the moment where people have to clap
Yeah,
for
you
a
have to, right?
13-year-old, for a kid that was supposed to be dead at 5, who's sitting there at 13, overcoming cancer. I'm like, how can you sit? But instead, they sat and looked
Look at his new
indifferent.
badge.
I mean, to me, there was a lack of organization. I mean, I don't think Hakeem Jeffries said everyone sit down and ignore kids with cancer. Really? You're ignoring kids with cancer? You're ignoring the survivors of a murdered teen? You can't clap for the naming of a park? It was astounding. I just think it was embarrassing, but it's also sad. I mean, you have a group of people that aren't going to do anything for 4 years, and you saw them walk away from that girls in sports bill 3 days ago. They just didn't show up, half of them. You know, I saw 14 walked
Look at that
out.
hug. That
yeah, they
hug.
said, look at that, 14 walked out during the
17
ceremony.
boycotted, 14
Yeah.
walked out. And Ted Cruz said, I have never seen such a disgraceful display as the Democrats put on. I've been to 13 State of the Union addresses. I've been to every one. I've never missed one. Every time Joe Biden walked into the chamber, I stood up and I clapped. This is a radical party that is full of rage and hatred.
Somewhere down the line, the Democrats lost their way. I mean, the things that were discussed, I understand. Some of them had political messages. But when you have a kid that survived cancer, they didn't even cheer. Maybe they did, but from the view of the camera, I did not see them cheer when they got the guy that killed 13 Americans in Afghanistan. And I mean, it's just, I don't understand where they go from here. This was an opportunity to put the partisanship away and just focus on those stories. But they couldn't do it that night. And then I saw some of the response. We're going to be talking about it later on the show, and DJ is going to be on the show. Their explanation of why they did not clap, some in the mainstream media, is lunacy.
Yeah.
You didn't have to politicize that moment at all. But you got some of Nicole Wallace, who used to be a Republican, that just lost her way.
Rachel Maddow.
Rachel Maddow, that said that the reason why they didn't clap or the reason why they didn't celebrate is because the president has cut cancer funding. I mean, this is just nonsense.
Well, we just saw the little boy, the 13-year-old boy, officially become a Secret Service agent right after the kid who was announced that he was going to West Point, the brand new Secret Service agent came over and gave him a high five. It was absolutely terrific. But DJ and his family, his father, are going to be with us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour of Fox and Friends. And I was reading a little bit about him this morning and his story. And when he found out that he was going to die from the brain cancer, he made it his quest to try to get sworn in to different police departments all across the country. And in fact, right there, he is wearing the uniform of the Houston Police Department. But now, of course, as he hugs Sean Curran, the director of the Secret Service, he is officially
and look at Sean's
a Secret
face.
Service.
Look at Sean's. I mean, I've never seen the guy smile. He was one of the guys that tackled the president when bullets were flying, and it was just a beautiful moment. If you have a heart, you just...
Poor child. What? I mean, think about what he's been through. Probably chemo, radiation, surgeries.
Right. And half the chamber, the Democrats, sat on their hands when that happened right there. Do you have a heart? They sat on their hands when they recognized the family of Laken Riley, or and Brian and Lawrence, you were talking about this when they announced the capture of the mastermind behind the 13 killed at the Kabul airport. They just sat there. I mean, these are wins.
For the country.
Not for Republicans, right? For America, for the world.
We did notice that, but the overall it was a common sense speech.
That's right.
It was a great speech. He talked about what he's going to do for America, and I think we just need to give him a chance. It's been 5 or 6 weeks. Come on, America. He also, the best line was what we played at the beginning of the show when he's talking about the border. The media and our friends in the Democratic Party kept saying we needed new legislation, but it turns out all that we really needed was a new president.
That was the line. That was the line of the night.
All right, 14 minutes. Brian, you want to say something?
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi didn't stand for that either.
No.
That didn't surprise me.
It was a relaxing night for her. None of them really did much.
And Elizabeth Warren, she caught up on all of her texts. That was so rude.
She was called out.